Hi, I'm Rachel.
And I'm Matt.
And I'm Meg. And this is Ger Can Get It. This week, a special John Kapelos mini-sode.
What?
Wow.
Because we met John Kapelos.
If they gave awards for makeouts on screen or stage, this guy would get a lifetime achievement. He'll find any excuse to get right to sucking face. You honestly wouldn't believe it. Dissecting each and every kiss with tongue. There's only one conclusion to come to. It's that Ger can get it. Ger can get it.
Yes,
Like,
spoiler alert
yeah.
for the rest of the
times.
episode.
Yeah. Like a bunch. Like so many times he yelled at us from the room.
I still
Meg bowed, so it was fine. It was good.
I feel a lot of feelings, you guys. I feel so many feelings.
We went to Chiller Con in
Chiller Theater.
Chiller. It was either Chiller Con or Chiller Theater
Con.
I don't
Who
know. It
knows?
was in Parsippany, New Jersey.
Beautiful, beautiful Parsippany, New Jersey.
Yeah,
in a
and-
hotel that you described as haunted, which turned out to be fairly accurate. A hotel of the damned. I think that's what you said. The hotel of the damned.
With no sidewalks within 2 blocks.
It was. It was a Hilton. I don't know, a Hilton.
But
Thank you. Half of it was a Hampton. Half of it was a Hilton because they couldn't get their shit together to decide which. So they're like halvesies, and they're like, "Fuck yeah, halvesies."
yeah, I didn't
And so-
realize when I booked the tickets for the thing. I knew it was at a Hilton in New Jersey, and when you look it up online, there's an address. It doesn't say that right next door is a much cleaner, brighter, less dirty,
not
less
next
horrifying
door.
Hampton.
The same
Touching it.
fucking building.
Yeah, no,
The
they're like kissing cousins.
Yeah, one side entrance is Hampton by Hilton, and the other side is just straight Hilton. And I love that this Hilton was it hadn't been remodeled since 1985, and they were like, I'm pretty sure that the hallway can be as narrow as we want as long as there's rooms coming off of it. Oh, but by the way, here, let's put a Ruth's Chris Steakhouse in this Hilton.
With the most audacious server I've ever had.
Oh my god, the whole thing was such an experience. But I didn't realize. So I got to the hotel after you guys for reasons which I will shortly explain, and for which American Airlines owes me a pint of blood. But so I got there after you guys, and I didn't realize that the hallway upstairs had 2 separate elevators. So there's an elevator that was one left turn away from the room that we were sharing, and there's one elevator that is 9 miles of twisting nightmare hallways away. So guess which elevator I rode up in? I rode up and I was like, okay, I need to get to 344. And it was like, do you watch 344? Solve these riddles 3. And I was like, no, I just want to bed.
I found those elevators while crossing 5 different floors looking for a functional ice maker.
I forgot about your quest, Matthew. That's right. It wasn't just me at the haunted hotel.
But at
Oh
least
my
I
God.
already know my way back when I got to the elevators.
You were gone just long enough that by the time you came back, Rachel and I were just starting to look at each other I don't think he's coming back. I think something bad got him. And just as we had that thought, you burst through the door. We were like,
Boom, with a bucket full of ice.
I mean, the con itself was really fun. This was a good, it felt like what cons were probably in the 90s. I remember when they had a Star Trek convention in Charlotte, when Charlotte was a much smaller city, and they had it at this really tiny hotel, and it was one big room with a stage and some vendors, and that was it. It was not a big deal. It was I could buy a ticket and go in an afternoon and just walk around and meet some fans and meet some of the stars.
oh yeah, no, it definitely had that casual 90s vibe.
Yeah,
when
it
you
was
see
a
those
It's
very,
very low stakes.
Yeah, it was very we're all here to have fun.
Except for Ruth's Chris Steakhouse. Those are not low stakes.
Those are not low stakes. But some of us are here because we're artisans and we've created cool shit, like a bleach dyed Mothman hoodie, which I now proudly own, or my wife is tired of all my memorabilia shit, and so here I am with all of my action figures and DVD collection that I am now selling to you as my vendor booth.
Unwillingly.
Yeah.
There was
the
a
vibe-
record
yeah.
guy. I mean, there was a lot of Yeah, and we patronized the guy with the like jewelry / magnets / like Mothman swag so much he like gave us a mag. He was like, just take that one. It's fine. Just take that one. Thank you
That was
so
like the
much.
secret theme of the weekend, I think. Us harassing people so much that they were like, if we give you free stuff, will you leave us alone? And we were like, that's the magic word. Yes.
You are
Correct.
correct, sir. You are correct. I mean, really, it was just that there was like one vendor room and there were no panels. So there was nothing to distract us. It was just like, should we go walk around the vendor room again? Sure.
Or
And
should
then
we
we
stare
went-
at John Kapelos again?
we
Also
went-
sure.
Yeah, that we did that a lot too. And then in and out of all the little rooms, which some of them had vendors, some of them had more people doing signatures. It was kind of a cool. Who else was there? William Shatner was there.
Walter Koenig was there.
Yeah, Walter Koenig. I mean, obviously, we only went for John Kapelos, but like other people were there. We didn't actually
Yeah.
interact with any of them or get any other signatures, but we got
Well, there was
John's
the,
3 times.
Oh my god, yeah. There was the one guy in the vendor room who apparently is a professional wrestler.
Yeah.
Who really wanted us to know who he was.
He
and I
did
feel
so
bad.
hard. I know
I
he
was
was
like,
like, "You guys like wrestling?" We're like, "No."
No.
And he's like, "Well, I'm this guy. You probably know my wife." Like, no. When I mean no, I mean like
I don't
no.
know.
Like I don't know what a wrestler is since the N64 stopped putting out the new wrestling games every year.
Yeah, if you're not Hulk Hogan or the Undertaker
Or Stone Cold.
or Stone Cold Steve Austin or
Yeah.
why can't I think of his name with the Macho Man Randy Savage? If you're like that's when I stopped. Like I used to watch like the WWF with my grandmother while she would sit there like smoking her cigarettes and doing her needlepoint. So if you're past the needlepoint cigarettes era, I got nothing. I don't know who you are. I'm sorry. Anyways, like so those were like the big ones of my childhood, but like most of them are dead. Some of them died like live on stage, and the rest of them are like in their 70s. So like if you're not using a walker, you're probably too young for me to know who you are.
Yeah.
I can't
Yeah.
think of the name of the.
You did find some pretty cool obscure movie swag though.
Oh
Posters.
yeah, I was so
And
yeah.
stills.
You know when you like go up to a vendor and you're like, I need an excuse to be standing here looking at all your cool stuff, so I'm going to ask for the thing I want with all of my heart because you're not going to have it, and then we can both be like, we can both acknowledge that we're both cool enough to stand here, and then like you fuck off and you let me just look at your stuff and touch
Yeah.
your stuff. So I was like, there's a guy that had old horror movie posters. And international horror movie posters, and then he also had a bunch of, like you said, Matt, like promotional stills,
Like
from
black and white
movies.
stills, yeah.
Yeah. And I was like, there's no way you're gonna have Dracula's Daughter from 1936. And he's like, why, yes, I do. And he had 4 separate still images. Like he had multiple copies, but like 4 different pictures. And then he had I assume reproductions, but maybe not. But he had posters for the movie, and I was like, this movie from 1936. You've got posters. You're gonna be charging like $300 for me to even breathe on them. And he was like, $10. And I was like, $10 sold, fucking sold. So I'm really excited. That's like my favorite. We've discussed this on a very special episode of, I don't know if it was Coming 81 Kilo.
Yeah,
or
it's
it was
on
the
Coming
main
to
podcast.
Uncanny. Yeah, Vamping Out with Meg.
Vamping Out with Meg, yeah. So
Yeah.
we discussed, if you want to hear more about how deeply in love I am with Dracula's Daughter, that movie is so gorgeous, so beautiful. So
Yeah, so dramatic.
So dramatic 1930s lesbianism. I was like, yes, I'm in.
Yeah,
this.
no, yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah. You're gonna be like a little gayer at the end of that movie than you were at the beginning of it because it's just
Which
how
is
could
a
you
good
not?
thing.
Yeah, no,
And
everyone should be.
we found a copy, quote unquote, because some of these were definitely I don't want to say they were artisanal DVDs.
Bespoke DVDs.
Bespoke, yeah, homemade.
We found a quote copy of Nightlife, which is like the first vampire movie I ever watched, and it's a made-for-TV movie from the 90s. So I was super impressed.
Yeah, so I bought that because I would like to know more about Rachel's vampire childhood beginnings.
Yeah.
So we're gonna watch that at some point.
I must have been like 5 watching it. So just keep that in mind when you're watching it, because I must have watched it when it came out, and when it came out was like I would have been like 5 or 6.
I mean, but isn't that like all of our stories though? Like we watched like way too sexual vampire stuff when we were like way too young, and our brains were like, congrats, this is what you're into now, like bonk, and like that's that's
Well, I'm just gonna flip that switch to on, and then I'm gonna break it, and we're never gonna be turning that off. Okay,
we're just gonna super glue that into this position. Congratulations.
And then you're gonna find yourself in the Hotel of the Damned in New Jersey, tracking down a little old man because you need his signature on a poster for a show that's been off the air for 35 years.
You know what?
Just 30.
Yeah.
Just 30. You're right. Thank you, Matt. I was on a roll.
It felt like, I mean, at least I know that for both Kathy and John, we were the entirety of their lines and the beginning, like the first person of their lines for both events. But like, at least I feel like John had like more people that were into him. Like they were more scattered throughout the day.
Yeah,
but,
I think he was steady.
Yeah, I felt better about the number of people that went to him. Whereas for Kathy, I was like, why do you guys not know how amazing Kathy is? Like, she's the original Jean Grey from X-Men. She's Natalie Lambert from Forever Night. She's the mayor from the Good Witch show, which has had like a bunch of iterations. Like, she's the voice of that other video game character that I can't think of right now
in Resident Evil.
Yeah. She's
Who is
apparently
she in Resident Evil?
One of the early ones.
Jill Valentine, maybe.
Oh,
yeah.
I didn't know she was.
Okay. Which is like a big. Nice. I think that's a big character in that series. Like I'm like scared of zombies, so I don't play the zombie games. But like it's my understanding that that's a big character. Like she's a big deal in the same way that John's a big deal. But I feel like more people know that John's a big deal, so they showed up for John. And I'm like, I feel like the barker at Kathy's booth. I was like, step right up, people, like come and see her. She's so great. But I will say that I feel like at the end of the day, I feel like Kathy liked this better than John liked us. Like I feel like John was like,
no, I think he was fine. I think it was good. He really loved that you liked his music because he has an album. If you haven't checked it out yet, it's called Too Hip for the Room.
Yes, that is exactly what it's called.
Yeah, Too Hip for the Room. He's on Spotify, which you know because he was handing out pieces of paper that had a Spotify link glued to the back. Which was so cute. But go check him out on Spotify. It's a jazz album, right?
Yeah. It's a jazz album. It's like sort of like half funny songs, but like half serious songs. I don't know how to explain it except that I was so charmed by it. I bought it on iTunes. I don't know, it must have been like almost a year ago probably. And it wasn't very much. It was like $10 or something. It was like nothing. And it was really, I was like, oh, this is going to be like a jokey album. And I listened to it and I was like, oh no, I like this. I really enjoy this. So then when we showed up and he had his little card that says, here's how much everything is. And P.S., now that we have gotten our signatures, I'm free to say, John, you charge way too little for your signatures. You should charge more. It would be good for you to charge more money. It was too cheap. It did not befit a man of your status, frankly.
Yes. So we paid $60 for Kathy. We would have paid $60 for you.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
So, yeah, he was charging like $30 for a signature, and I was like, $30? You're John Kapelos. Like, do you know who you are? Like, anyways, so he had his little card that was like, here's how much I charge for stuff, and he had a bunch of photos that you could purchase, and then he would like sign on the photo, and you could get a little photo with him at the table, or you could do what we did, which is you can have a professional photo taken with him like later in the day. And then, so I'm like going through the list of stuff and it said like CD, and I'm looking at his table and like, I didn't see a CD, but I saw this giant, it looked like the cover for a vinyl record. Like it was the exact shape and size for like the slip cover for a vinyl record. And I was like, oh my God, there's like a bespoke vinyl record version of your album. Like, yes, like whatever you're charging, like, yes, I want it. So I asked the guy who was like his money man, and I was like, how much is the vinyl record? And the guy's like, what are you talking about? I'm like, the thing that's shaped exactly like a vinyl record. The only thing on this table that looks like a vinyl record. He's like, no, that's actually like the CD. And I was like, is it a really big CD? Because those are vinyl records. He's like, no, there's a CD in there.
It's a laser disc.
I would have bought it. Like, I'm going to be honest with you. If he was like, it's actually a laser disc, I would have been like, okay, I bet I can. I mean, I have a VHS player I bought for Ger Can Get It. I'm sure I could find a laser disc machine.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
But he was like, it's a CD, and I don't remember how much it was. It was like 30 or 60 or so. I was like, whatever. So I went up there, and yeah, John was like, do you actually want this? And I was like, yes. Is this a trick? Yeah, yes. I like it. I've heard your music. I like it. I want more of it. Like I wanna hear it in person. And he was like, oh, I only made 6 of these. And I was like, did you misspeak? You must have made 60, right? You made like 600 or 60. He's like, no, I made 6. And I was like, okay, well now you got 5, man.
And he packed them himself.
Yeah, he did.
Well, that was okay. So when we went up to, so he signed it. He put like 2 meg XO like John Kapelos, and I will say I was like a little bummed out because like for you, he wrote like a whole fucking Forever Night quote on your poster, like a 3-line long Forever Night quote, and I was like, will you write up a quote on my poster? And he's like, nope. And I was like, will you write a quote on like this record album? He's like, nope. Why would you write a quote for me, John Kapelos? But anyways, okay. So it's
Make a year and a half long podcast about a show.
Maybe that's what it is. I'm not a cool.
You have to approach our level of dedication. I know that's the next one. What do we say we're going to call it? Like John Can Jam. We were trying to call it. Do you know how? You know how long that podcast would be?
He's been on 1 million things. That's the thing that like
was John Kapelos in it? The answer probably yes.
Of course, absolutely, he was. Yeah. Well, that's the one thing where it's like I feel like if we had wanted to make a version of Ger Can Get It, but like about Kathy, like we could. It would take longer. I feel like she's been in like more long running projects and like more things. So I think it would take longer, but you could do it. But with John, it's like it would be the never ending story. It would be the world's longest podcast because he's been in like every single fucking thing ever. Although I will say, I feel like with Ger, some of the stuff, like, well, you and I, you've noticed, like some of the stuff, it's like, I don't know how we're going to find this. I mean, that's part of why we went to Chiller Con because I was like, I know there's guys selling bootleg stuff out of the back of a car. If there's anywhere I'm going to find
accurate.
Yeah. If there's anywhere that I'm going to find like some Gerite Win DVs, Baby Ger 1970s TV shows that like the network like buried in a hole in the ground next to like the Ataris out in the desert. Like that's where I'm going to find it. And even so we went to the one guy who like seemed to have the most of the homemade videos. And I literally was reading off of IMDb. I'm like, do you have this? How about this? How about this one? Do you have this one? He's like, no, not a single fucking one of those things do I have. He's like, I've heard of this one maybe. It's from the 90s. And I was like, no, it's from like 1970. He's like, nope, got nothing. And I was like, this whole con has been sold to me as like industrious old men selling weird shit out of the back of their car. Like, you're disappointing me right now, sir. Like this is supposed to be like bootleg ghetto shit that like no one else wants but me. The convention, like come on. But anyways, so back to
the convention.
So anyways, so we
they
I was like,
have Revenge of the Queer Wolf,
which you didn't buy, which I'm really bummed out about.
I should have bought it. Like, where else am I going to find Revenge of the Queer Wolf?
I was going to say for anything else, I'd be like, oh, I'm sure you could Google it and find it. I know for 100% if you Google Revenge of the Queer Wolf, you're going to find a lot of weird shit, but you're not going to find that movie.
You're not going to find the original.
No, you're going to find something
things
a little
with the same
different,
name.
Well, like it was funny. We were talking like there was a comic, like an online, like a web comic. I remember from like the early days of the internet. And it was about like a gay werewolf. It was like a guy who I think was straight when he was like when the full moon was not out, but then when the full moon came out, he was both a werewolf and gay. And it was called something like Queer Wolf, like it was queer was in there somewhere. So like it's not maybe an original idea, but like I feel like that you're gonna find before that like totally bootleg movie. We'll have to go back next year and
that's
buy
it.
some
We
more
just have to go
garbage.
back to
Haunted
Chiller
Hotel.
Con next year.
This was the weirdest fucking con. But anyways, so we were at John's table for the second time and we're like, hello again, hi, whatever. We're buying more stuff. So I bought the not vinyl record that was shaped like a vinyl record. We went up to the hotel room because it was precious cargo and we had to make sure that it was safe and sound. And I opened it up and it was very much an arts and crafts project, which endears him to me even more because like from the outside, you know, like it's like a record cover. I thought maybe like he paid a company to do it. I was a little surprised that a company would make only 6 copies, but then when I opened it up, I was like, okay, no, I'm getting it now because it was he's an artist, which I didn't realize. Like he draws, which is kind of cool.
We got some pins with his face on it that he drew.
Which you threw at us because you were there too long. So I'm gonna get to it in a second. But he drew
the 4th time.
You know what? It was the 4th time, wasn't it? Oh goddamn! No wonder.
When you did the bow and flourish.
Okay, stop. We'll get to the bow and flourish. All right. I keep being like, why does he not like me? Why does he think I'm a weirdo? I'm like, oh, is it because I did the bow and flourish? Like fucking probably. But okay, so anyway, so we opened it up and it had 2 like blank greeting cards that he had done the art for on the outside, which is kind of cool. I really like those. And it had the CD that you can get that you can listen to on Spotify and on iTunes. And then there's a second CD I haven't had a chance to listen to yet, but it's apparently like extra sweet cuts that did not make it onto the unreleased. Yeah, that's right. The unreleased, the secret bonus tracks. So we'll have to do like a for the, what are we calling it? John Can Jam. For John Can Jam, we'll have to do like a review of the secret unreleased bonus tracks. I'm trying to think what else was even in there. Oh, there was the Spotify thing, which is clearly he like cut out and glued to the back of a piece of paper. And then there was what looked like a poster for like some night he was like playing live somewhere, but it was sort of like a legal sized paper that he had just run through like a copier, and then it was too big to fit inside the vinyl envelope, so he just kind of like tucked the edges in, and it was like, it's like just paper. It's not like on cardstock. It's just like printer paper that he gently folded in half like 3 times with like the copier lines kind of going over it. But like it's so homemade. And then there were a couple of things that he had cut out.
There was a t-shirt transfer.
Yes, there's a t-shirt transfer. That's right. That's what it was. There's a t-shirt transfer, and then there was, I think, the instructions for the website that tells you how to do the t-shirt transfer. But like he had like tried to like cut stuff out, and he like, I guess, didn't have like a paper guillotine, so it was just shit cut at like weird jacked up angles and like hot like glue sticked together, and it was just, it's very charming. It's very low tech. I like it so much. I will obviously be finding the best t-shirt to put my John Kapelos Too Hip for the Room heat transfer on, so that I can be one of 6 people who owns that in the world.
Correct.
Be super cool when I show up next time, because there will be a next time. They don't want there to be a next time, but there will be a next time. I'll just show up and be like, what? Look at my shirt.
We won't always be there, but we might always be there. Like, you
not every
know.
time,
but anytime. That's what I'm thinking for. Thank you, honey. Like, there's a way to say this that's funny. But yeah, no, expect us.
Our love. Yeah, so it was just, so we got the charmingly bespoke one of 6 copies, not a record, but in a record sleeve.
Nice.
I liked it so much. It's so cute.
Nice. He was so nice.
He was the nicest. He was a big fan of you guys, because I was like, hey, you did a cameo for them for their podcast, and he was like, oh yeah.
He wasn't I remember. But do you remember the video you promised us, John? Where's the video of your mom, John?
I really want to know. Well, Rachel, I think you're gonna have a chance to ask him. Do you want to tell the audience how you're gonna have a chance to ask him?
I know he was like, have I been on your podcast? And I was like, no. And he goes, I could be. I'll be on your podcast. And he like gave me his email address in front of the whole line, and he was like,
very loudly.
And I was like, trying to hold it together. I could barely write my own email address. I did fine. But inside I was reeling. I was like, he's gonna to me on my
I remember
podcast.
him telling you to calm down a little bit.
he was like, it's okay. It's all right. You don't need to panic. And I was like, I am panicking a little bit though. It's a little bit panicking.
I mean, panicking in front of Forever Night Stars is sort of what we do. So
I feel like we've gotten better with each iteration though. Ger, we just left the room completely.
Mentally,
Kathy, I made a noise, and we kind of held our shit together, but also kind of stalked her through the whole con.
Okay, first off, Kathy said come back. So like it would have been rude not to come back.
That is true.
Speaking of Kathy, so during this second trip through the John line, because there were, like you said, multiple, during the second trip, we talked a little bit about being Canadian and like us doing the trip back home and like going to see some of the filming sites. And we talked about like just the Forever Night like pilgrimage and stuff. And we mentioned Kathy, and I was like, oh yeah, like we're gonna go back to Toronto this summer, and we're gonna do like more. We're gonna see more stuff. And like we're gonna try and get lunch with Kathy. And John was like, oh, what, really? And then you immediately undercut. You cut my knees up from under me.
I panicked. For one, I panicked. Second, it's not set in stone, and so.
It's not set in stone.
Listen, I spend every day, all day with an ADHD child. And if you speak anything definitively, it is happening. It is on the calendar. It is fucking written on the 10 Commandments.
I am manifesting it. I am manifesting that this lunch happens.
I would love it.
She's like, not going to. I know it's probably not going to happen. But she made the offer.
I want to leave Kathy out. Like, I don't want John to be like, "Hey, I met some people that told me they're going to eat lunch with you." Like,
I know. I didn't
I'm
want to
trying
sound like a star fucker while we were talking. And like, I don't know. Somehow just Kathy came up, and I don't know. I was like, yeah, we went to see Kathy. We saw Ger. John was like, oh, like, was he like, oh, like, was he okay? Was he like nice to you? And then I don't know why the one thing I feel like I need to tell everyone, I was like, well, he wasn't the most sober, so it was fine. And so John was like, yeah, okay. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So okay, so here's my feeling on is like when you do podcasts like we do in general on the Strange and Beautiful Book Club, it's like it's a really fine line of being joking and familiar in your speech with these people, but then also they are people who are like they have the right to their privacy and their individual lives, and so
they're strangers to us, and I get it.
So I panic. I didn't want to call you a liar, but also I didn't want to be like, oh yeah, no, we totally know Kathy. Like Kathy's our best friend. We call her Kathy.
We recovered. I was like, we had talked to her, and we saw her at the con, and she was very gracious and was like, oh hey, if I'm in Toronto when you guys are in Toronto, like we should get lunch. And so like that's what he said.
No, and I think that's what she said, and I think that is stated accurately, and that's fine. I just didn't want to come off as like, oh no, yeah, we're like,
I know. I'm working at it.
No, it was fine. It worked out great. I think that it ended up back and forth working out great, as like she said she would, but we don't have a date.
Yeah.
So
yeah, no, I said like it may not happen, but she had like made the offer, and hopefully it works out. And if it doesn't work out, like fine. But it was very nice of her to say
to even mention that
fuck away from me, you weirdos.
Yeah, to even mention it would be a possibility was good. Like that. And if that's all that happens, like you just have to be okay with it because they have their lives. Like just because we look at them on TV doesn't mean we own any part of their time.
I'm aware. I'm not actually.
Yeah, no, I know. I'm not talking to Meg. I'm talking to the audience. I'm speaking to Maria and Allie.
You're making me feel stressed out.
I'm talking to Maria and Allie and our audience.
I was gonna say you just listed the entire audience, I think.
Maria commented on YouTube and said, "Hi from your one and only fan."
This episode is like hurting my heart a little more than I thought it was gonna. This is making me feel a little bit bad.
I don't think you should. I think it's good. I think this is the kind of podcast that people do because they love it, and then people come to it when they come to it. Does that make sense? Like you don't get the audience as you're doing the podcast. This is like I wish I knew more about Ger, and you Google it, and you're like, oh wow, somebody made a
posthumously.
Wow, you didn't have to go there. That wasn't necessary.
What the fuck is happening this episode? You were the draw. Can I just say? So like I know like we just joked about like our OnlyFans. I have
what?
Wait, let me rephrase that. I know we just joked about the OnlyFans that we have. Okay. the few fans that we have. Okay, but like
gotcha.
two of like I've got two of my male friends who like listen, and they both were like, is Matt coming back? Is there going to be more Matt content? When's the Matt content coming back? And you come back and immediately you're like, this will work out once we're all dead.
I mean,
Jesus fucking Christ.
The podcast will be famous posthumously after the podcast is finished, not the people who do the podcast.
Oh, good walk back. Good walk back. Yeah, no, that was good.
I'm great at rationalization.
This is the level of gravitas that Matt brings to the podcast. Yeah.
Fuck. Well, yeah. I mean, the last one, it was all engineering and physics gravitas, and now it's like this will be good. Anyways, so we talked to John a little bit about going to see Toronto and missing Canada, and that was kind of like a nice conversation, a poignant conversation. We talked about Kathy a little bit, and he's like, "Oh, like tell her I say hi," and we were like, "Well, Kathy actually said the same thing to say to you, man." And then I briefly mentioned that like maybe Kathy had like a lot of very good John stories, and the color that drained from his face was
he looked horrified. He ran his hands through his hair. He oh shit. He did the forehead hair grab, and then that's when he threw the buttons at us and was like, so great talking to you. Just
now.
Before we embarrass him in front of his fans.
Like we would. We are Fort Knox. Do you know the secrets we keep at this point?
Known only to we three. Well, some secrets known only to Matt, frankly, but like some I think that you and I know.
I think I'm probably not privy to every Kathy story.
That's true. They come thick and fast.
Yeah, but like you know, like hours of our lives that we don't have any recollection of at all. I don't.
Yeah.
Just gone.
Yeah.
But so then he was like, take some buttons, and yeah, he had drawn his own. It was like a little caricature of his face on the buttons, and he's like, I drew this, and I was like he's very talented actually. Like it's like it's like a really good likeness. I'll try at some point. I'll put up like all the swag because I am compelled to. But I'll put it up on the Instagram site for the podcast, and it's like he's a really good artist. Like I had no idea. Like it was really cool. So that was our second time through the line, and then we had his photo op, like his professional photo op later, and he was dressed as Carl the janitor from The Breakfast Club, which he's very famous for, but is a movie I've never actually seen him. I like it's all the Breakfast Club, all the John Hughes movies are like just right before I was born, or like when I was like just a couple of years old, I think. So it's like right before. I hear good things. Like I'd like to watch them. They're on my list, but like I haven't gotten there yet. But he was dressed as Carl the janitor. He had his own mop bucket.
It was so cute. Everybody cheered for him.
Yeah. Well, he was very nice at the beginning. So like they herded us into the room finally after like screaming at us in the hallway for a while, and then they herded us into the room. And John came out and he was like, hey, like, I just want to say thank you to everybody for being here and for like wanting to take pictures. And like, it's like, I appreciate you. Like, thank you for being like, it was like a nice little, like, thanks for showing up thing.
Yeah.
And I wish that there were more people. Like there were people in the room. There were lots of people. There were like, I don't know, like 20 or 30 people, but like, you know, when you're just like, you are beloved to me. I want more people to love you with the weird, freaky nerd intensity that we bring to you.
Yeah.
Like I want more people to
you want them to feel appreciated.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I feel like the sad thing about, like, I feel like with Chiller, it's just the vibe that I got from the whole thing was just like it was so run down. Like I'm glad that there were other like enormous celebrities, like Dylan McDermott was there, but like so he was there. Like you said, two of the stars of the original Star Trek were there. Like there's like they're like big draws, so like that makes it feel less like this. Like I called somebody's agent like yesterday to come to my backyard barbecue, but like the whole vibe was.
There were a lot of actors that would have been very significant to a certain subset of people. They're like the actors you hope you're going to meet when you're a fan of these like obscure movies and television shows. Yeah. And yet they've so rarely come out and tour that like the odds of you finding them and meeting them are low. And then you go to like this con, which had like all of the whole cast of the Warriors.
Yes. Yeah. I know people were like freaking out about that.
Kung Fu movie people. It had like a couple of stars that I recognized from like a bunch of stuff, but maybe not from big stuff. It was like I loved that guy in that thing con.
Yeah. Well, I mean that was the nice thing about it. So it was somehow both like really small and like too big for the premises. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's a smaller rundown hotel. It's not, because the con didn't go on both sides to the Hampton and the Hilton. It was just on the Hilton side. And they had vendor booths going down the hallway. They had one or two rooms that were just vendor items, and then one room that was like movie screen used props that you could look at but not buy. So there was like some display rooms and stuff. And then there were just like the rooms that had all of the celebrities waiting for signatures. And so like it's not a very big hotel. They have like probably like as many booths as you're going to have in such a small area. And then the number of like people that were there felt like whatever the maximum safe capacity plus 25. Like it was just like crammed in there. And it felt like sort of half, like you said, like sort of older, more obscure celebrities, they're diehard fans. And then like the other half was just like the death metal contingent, which is like fine, but we're like a weird mix of people. I think you and I and Matt, I think all three of us brought the average age of the public down by about 38 years. Like
it's possible.
At least.
At least.
We got to talk to some really cool people though and hear some pretty cool stories. Like we saw that guy who had the huge collection of the Dark Shadows DVDs.
Oh yeah. Well,
That was-
that's the other thing is like I think I've put out into the universe too much. Like I'm really into old men, and this whole convention was like
Who's
well, are
picking
you?
up on that?
They were picking up on it, yeah. And it was just a lot of like sweet old men who were like, if you're not going to buy something, can I tell you my life story? And I don't know how to be like, no, thank you, because in my heart, I'm always like, tell me your life story. That's okay. So yeah, so we and like I don't know, I'm interested in people, but then like once it's like 40 minutes, I'm like, I don't know how to stop this. I don't know where. Okay. At one point, I was like, Rachel, be on fire so we can not talk anymore. Like whatever you need to do. But you're right. Like it was like people were very sweet. Like all the vendors were very kind and very giving of their time, and they wanted to like tell you all about themselves. And we did meet the guy who had all of Dark Shadows on the DVD set, which I was talking with you. I said I didn't realize that they had ever put Dark Shadows on DVD, because I know it was a soap opera, and I know there's like 2,000 episodes or something. Like it's crazy.
And wasn't it signed by the main guy
but yeah, Barnabas
who
Collins.
passed away while he was signing?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, which is like very cool. I don't think we even asked him how much it was, because I'm sure like the dollar amount would have just been like 6 zeros too many.
We stood there for an hour. We could have just asked for it. Be like, can I take it home? I'll give it a good home for free.
In exchange for the amount of time we've just given you. Yeah. But he was very nice. He was very sweet. He was talking about how much the show meant to him and how he had watched it like during his childhood with his mom. And so it had like a very special place in his heart. And like I feel like that's really like the essence of why we're all so into like Forever Night, right? I mean, like it's this show that's like and maybe vampires in general, right? Like it's something that's kind of wormed its way into your heart, and it means something special to you based on like the time in your life when it came to you. And so like now it's you give it a level of like importance that maybe nobody else would. Like it's like a sacred thing. So it was a nice conversation. It was just like the theme of the weekend was like lots of old men. No one will talk to them. They're going to talk to you. And by you, I mean me. So it was sort of, it was sort of like, it's a little bit of a grungier con. Like if you've only been to San Diego, like this is not San Diego, but it had more, it had celebrities, which Con Carolinas didn't have. It was cool.
I thought it was really charming. Like I thought I loved the like grungy, I hate to say authenticness, but the like, I started this con. It had the air of like, I started this con. I built this website in like 93.
Yeah, they have not changed the website.
And I still run it. And I don't change the website because like, this is the thing that works for my con. And I can, somebody had a bunch of pamphlets from like past cons that you could buy or rifle through. And it kind of seems like there was a time when this was much bigger. When they had like screenings and they had like the Chiller Theater thing actually meant like we had theater things. And, you know, that they still have it and that they've kept it going and that it seemed like every booth owner was like, oh yeah, you know, every year there's fewer of us. There used to be this guy and that guy and that guy who used to come every year. Like it feels like a very tight-knit community of people that come every year and do this con.
Yeah.
And there's probably the people that come every year too.
Yeah. Well, I was surprised. So for whatever reason, anytime that you and I are going to go to a convention, I end up finding like the Facebook group for the attendees because I'm a sucker for punishment. So I was on the Facebook group for the attendees of ChillerCon. It was like all these people talking about how they've been like, there's like maybe one or two people who were like newbies like me, and most of them were like, this is my like 22nd ChillerCon. Like this is like I go every single year, and ChillerCon is actually twice a year. It's in what I think like October in the fall, and then what month is it? April. It's April, like in the spring.
Oh.
So like people who are like always going and they've been going for a long time, and it's like this part of their lives. And I was like, it's sort of like MegaCon all over again. I had never heard of it. I was like, I don't know, I guess we'll check it out. And then we show up and it's like, the rock and rollers who've been doing this since the beginning. But like, I don't know, it's sort of like you just like, you want the people that are famous to you to like be like I want them to be like sat on like a golden pedestal with like a little velvet rope around them in like the biggest convention, and you have to pay like $1 million. Like I want them to be so out of reach because everyone else loves them the way that we love them. And instead it was like, I don't know, you got $30, here's John Kapelos. And I was like, no, like no, No, more.
No, but
charge me
also
more.
okay. Like it was fine. I'm glad it felt so like we felt like we had a hot minute to talk to him. Like not a ton because we did like people would come behind us and he was very
Yeah.
gracious about like engaging you, but then like turning and talking to the people behind you as well. Like he was really good at working the line, which I really appreciated and which we required.
We needed the help.
Yeah, he was very sharp. He remembered Meg's name when we went back. He was like, oh, "That's it. I remember things. I'm an actor." And I was like,
because
"Yeah, you do."
I'm one of the 6 people that own his not a vinyl record. So I think, but yeah, that was very kind of him to be like, "Well, what'd you do with the record?" And I was like, "It's upstairs for safekeeping, obviously."
Yeah.
Like, it's
yes, when we were waiting for the picture, he like looked over at Meg and was like, "Where's my my?"
I think he
thing
said,
at?
"Did you sell it already?" And I was like,
You did ask him to personalize it, which would make selling it harder.
"Yeah,
Yeah.
He wouldn't personalize it.
Maybe he was
"No."
like, "She's not going to want to keep this. It's fine. This way she can sell it on eBay."
I was still a little bit bummed out. I was like, you put, although I will say that I like, so on your, so the first time in line when we went through, we had him sign the Forever Night posters. And on yours, he put that whole quote about
Why doesn't he ever eat anything? Yeah.
Yeah. Why doesn't he ever eat anything? And on mine, he wouldn't put a quote, but he did sign it 3 times as large as anybody else's.
And then he wrote,
on your poster.
Yeah.
And he wrote skanky. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like Ger's name at the bottom and Kathy's and George Booza, they're all about the same size and they're all like, I don't know. They're like as wide as like 2 of my fingers put together. And then Kapelos signed it as big as my whole fucking hand.
His signature was quite loopy to
like-
begin. They had a signature authenticator on site. We could have gone and got like a card.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, but he wouldn't have been able to authenticate the Ger or the Kathy or the.
No, I mean for John's signature.
Yeah, I know, but like,
Yeah.
like, what am I gonna like? I'm gonna pin it to like, no, this part of the poster is legit.
Well,
Believe
you
me
could
about
have
the rest
gotten
of
it for the picture we had signed. You could have gotten it for the record you had signed. Not record.
You assemble provenance documents together in a folio.
For why? I'm never gonna sell any of these things.
I just thought it
They're
was
for
cool
me
that they
forever.
had.
It is very cool.
I just thought it was cool that they're like, well, we have like you're there to get signatures from these people that probably there's not a ton of signatures out floating around. So yeah, let's get an authenticator in here.
Yeah. Well, and I think the other vibe I got from the con is like I would not be surprised if like some of the people who were in line, they were definitely like resellers. Like they're, I mean, you're definitely there to get like as many signed pictures of John as Carl the janitor, and then you walk right over to the authenticator guy and like get your money's worth. But
yeah.
So yeah, that was the second time. So the third time we went to get the pictures taken with him. And you guys had paid for a picture together and I had paid for a picture and you could have up to 2 people in a picture. And I was like, I can't have a solo picture. I'm like too nervous. So I dragged you to have double pictures. So you got to be like his number 1 fan.
I'm in 2 pictures.
You got 2 pictures with him. And he was very kind and like squeezed us in real tight and was because like you never know like how much you're supposed to like touch another human being. So he was like he like squeezed in real tight, which is nice. And then we went to the little room next door where they print out the photos, which I didn't see. The lady with the photos was some kind of witch. Like we went in there, the table had like
they just appeared.
They just appeared. I was like, okay, like I'll wait, and someone will come in with the photos. And you and I, all 3 of us were talking, and I like turned around, and all of a sudden there were like 75 more pictures, and I was like, where the fuck did they like? What happened here? Like the rest of Chiller Con
I was
feels
facing the center of the room the whole time we were talking, and I didn't see any movement.
Yeah.
But then you turned around and were like, oh, the pictures are there.
Yeah, it could be.
Yeah. We woke up and there were the pictures. There were pictures there. So we got our little pictures. And they sell like the little like the hard plastic picture protectors. And I was like, well, obviously, like these need to be protected forever for posterity. So we got that. And then Rachel, you were feeding into the mental illness of the weekend. And you're like, you know what? Like we got a picture now. I bet he'll sign that. So we went back into his fucking line.
I'm an enabler. It's my job.
Absolutely. I mean, well, you say that and I was like, do you want to go to a foreign country? So like amongst us, who is the worst enabler?
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. But so we were maybe waiting for pictures, like 10 minutes? Like it wasn't very long. So I was like, oh, he's still going to be doing pictures. Like he's not going to be done yet. But we went into the hallway and we like went down to the gold room and like he was already back there. And I was like, well, it's a sign. Okay. So we went back in line. We talked to his handler, his money guy again, and the money guy was like, just $20 this time, not $30. Like, you've been here 3 times. Like, just. And I was like, I feel a little
discount.
Yeah. And I was like, I feel a little bit weird. I feel like we're harassing him. Like, I don't want him to. Like, I neither want to seem like I don't know, like a name dropper or a star fucker. I don't want to seem like either of those things. And I was like, hello, it's me again. And so then he was telling us, the handler was telling us about some other convention that he had worked where the lady who's the star of your Good Witch show, was it Catherine something? What's her name?
Yeah, I can't remember.
Well,
She's also on Jag.
Yeah. Oh, okay. So maybe that's why there are more people there. Anyways, but the lady who's the star of your Good Wife show, I guess he was like her handler for some previous con. And like he was talking about women who just went up into her line like 6 times. And then after she left, like they wanted the pens that she had used to like sign her name. And they were like super like freaky deaky and like made everyone uncomfortable. And so I was like, so we have room to grow. And he was like, you got room to grow. And I was like, well, that's positive.
He did take our pens though.
John did take our pens. Yeah.
He did take our pens.
It's
okay, John, we forgive you.
I can buy more on Amazon. It's
May
fine.
you will never have a day's luck with them.
Well, the one smart thing I've maybe ever done in my whole life is before we went to Toronto and Stratford last summer is I went on Amazon and I bought a 2-pack of like these gold marker pens.
Yeah.
Because I feel like
I have a bunch too because I kept handing Ger markers.
You kept handing Ger every color of the rainbow, and he was like, "I only need one marker.
No more
please.
markers. No more markers." And I'm like, "Okay, it's fine."
He said, "This will do fine."
Touch you with the marker. So, so I bought these gold ones because I feel like sometimes like when they like the markers they have at the table, like if they're only like black or white, like sometimes like doesn't show up. And your poster is only in grayscale. Yours is only black and white. And mine's like a lot of really dark colors. So I was like, I'll just get the bright gold marker. So I had the 2-pack. So that's what we used with Ger. And then I was like, well, I'll just, I won't, this way I won't lose it. I'll just stick it in the poster tube. And like, that's what I brought with me to Kathy. And so I was like, this way, like everything matches. So Kathy and George sign with the same marker. So they've got the gold that matches. So that's just what I had with me. So when we brought it to the table with John, I was like, wow, like we got the markers right here. And one of them was dead. And so he like put it aside and I was like, okay, like that's fine. And then he took the second one and he signed both of our things and he put it in his pile. And I was like, whatever. So he's got, so John now owns a marker that's been touched by Kathy and Ger. So I'm sure it's magical in its way. So we went up to the line like for the fourth time. And he signed his name on our little pictures for the very last time. And that, I think that's when I mentioned about like Kathy having stories and he was like, you need to get the fuck out, like leave. So he gave us the buttons. I was like, please be not here. And then for whatever fucking reason, so we got into the hallway, like we got like basically through the doorway. And John was like loudly talking to the people who had been in line right behind us. And he was like,
oh, yeah, these people are taking up all my time.
Yeah.
Which I think was a joke.
Gesturing to us.
I'm choosing to believe that was a joke.
Oh, yeah, it was. Yeah.
Okay. He smiled.
Like for the level of mental illness I have, it'll be a joke like 50% of the time and scathing indictment the other 50%. But anyway, so he's like, yeah, these people bogarting all my time. And for whatever reason, that's the moment that I chose to do a little jackass bow. And I don't know why. That's just what came to me in the moment.
I love your in the moment gestures, the baby wave.
Yeah, I know. I was gonna say if you're keeping track. I don't think I did anything weird with Kathy,
like
but
full
maybe
from the waist bow with like arms out like in a flourish, like not like a Japanese greeting bow, not like a no, it was like a yes sir, like a Shakespeare bow.
Yes, it was a stage bow with a one-arm flourish.
You know what? I go big or I go home, and
it was good. No.
And home was too far away.
Home was too far away, so I went big. Yeah, no, but you're absolutely right. Yeah, with Ger, I did the fucking baby wave. With John, I did the full Phantom of the Opera bow. I don't know why.
We held it together for Kathy, though.
I held it together with Kathy. You made a fucking squeal like somebody stabbed you. So like, we're 2-1 right now. Okay,
that's true. That's true.
You know what that means though. It means if we ever get to meet Nigel, you're gonna have to be the one that has a full mental freak out.
And I will be. Yeah, I'm fully anticipating that will be what happens.
Oh yeah. That was the only thing that like is keeping my mental health together. Is I'm like, I was a jackass, but also when we were at MegaCon, Rachel squealed so that I thought that somebody hurt her. So like, It's like, oh no,
You
we're
were-
under attack.
You were just cracked out from all the travel the day before. So
Oh my God. Yeah. So it was just a nightmare of a travel weekend. So you guys drove up from North Carolina. That was what, like 10 hours, 11? Which is,
yeah, 9.5.
9.5 plus break time.
Yeah,
Rachel was the passenger princess the entire way, as is her role in this world.
as it should be.
Mhm.
Yes.
What is the purpose of having a man if not to make you his princess, right? Isn't that how
I
it
even
Above 12 hours, Rachel will take a driving shift.
Yeah. I even snuggled. Like I had a blanket. I was just
I tucked the edges in.
Jesus Christ. You two are ridiculous. You two were so fucking horny this entire weekend. Like I could not figure it out. You were all like nuzzling each other. Like I don't know how to explain to the audience. Like I can imagine like some comics convention that has like a romantic vibe, like a cool couples vibe. This is not it. Okay. Chiller is not a romantic convention. Chiller is like a bunch of middle-aged dudes with mullets and like leather bracelets and wife beaters. And they are rocking out next to a room with Shatner, who does not want to take a picture with you, and John Kapelos, who is super willing to take a picture with you.
yeah.
So like it is not like a romantic thing. And you two were like cats in heat. You were like purring and rubbing against each other. And I was like, should I have gotten a separate I'll like walk around the block. Our floor is big enough. I could walk like from one elevator to the
It's
other and be gone for
fine.
hours. But you were having like a real good time. Maybe just the drive up, just the heat of going to beautiful Parsippany, just
Could have been.
the sexual heat
Yeah.
of Parsippany.
Yeah,
New
it was
Jersey.
all the mullets. And there were
so
some
many.
glorious mullets. Like
There
there
were
were
so
a
many
couple that were like double take mullets. Like, hold up. How did they achieve that level of volume?
There were a couple where in my head for a second I was like, is that a wig? And then I was like, nope. No, that's all natural, baby. That's all real.
Yeah.
So
carefully maintained, pristine, like a car. They purchased it in 1980 and they've just kept it up.
Ben Bass would have been so jealous.
Oh, he'd have been like, I found my people. It's my people.
I am your king. So I have moved since the last time we went to a con, so I couldn't drive up. So what I ended up doing, well, originally like we were gonna fly, and so I was like, I'll just fly from Memphis to Charlotte. I'll pick you guys up at the airport in Charlotte, and then we'll fly together. You guys ended up driving, so I was like, well, whatever. Like I'll still get into Newark like at like 1:00. It'll be fine. So I had a 7 a.m. flight, so that means I left my house at 4. I got to the airport for like 5. I had my flight for 7, and then about 4:30 when I was already in the Uber, I got a text message from American Airlines, and they were like, "Yeah, your flight's delayed." And I was like, "Okay, well, like, what does delayed mean?" And it turns out delayed means 5 hours later. So I would have missed my flight from Charlotte. Like I would have missed my connecting flight. So what I ended up doing, so they gave me a bunch of options on the app where it was like, you can change it to this time or this time. And like all of them were flying to JFK or fly tomorrow, go fuck yourself. And I was like, neither of those really works. So by the time I got from my house to the airport, it had chosen its own, it had rerouted me on its own. Like it had like chosen a whole new set of flights for me that were not part of the set of flights that I could have picked from their list. And I was like, okay, like that's sure. So it still got me into, it was still going to get me to Newark. And I was like, going to get there at like 2:00 instead of 1:00. And I was like, fucking fine, whatever. So it was going to shoot me through Chicago. So I was like, whatever. So I was like, this, I don't care. So I get from Memphis to Chicago. The flight is so late getting in that I get to Chicago as my second flight, my flight from Chicago onto Newark is closed, and like I could not get on. And I was like, but I'm here. I'm here.
Left.
I can see into the airplane. And the lady's like, no. So then they rerouted me from Chicago instead of going to Newark, because there's like 2 flights a day to Newark somehow, even though it's like this huge, busy goddamn airport. I guess American doesn't care. So they're like, we can get you. She's like, the next time we can get you to Newark is like 7 at night. And I was like, pass. Like, what else do you got? She's like, JFK. And I was like, sure, fucking why not? So I get on the flight to JFK. Every single flight I was on the entire day was the most turbulence I've had outside of being in a prop plane, which I've been in when I had to, like when I went to school in Southern Illinois, like the plane to get from Southern Illinois to St. Louis was a legit, like, spin the propeller, hope it doesn't fall out of the sky plane. This was as close to that level of turbulence as I've ever experienced. So the whole time I was like, I gotta get the freak Kapelos. So I finally get into JFK, and my phone is almost about to die. I brought like my garbage battery pack, so it was about to die. So I like wrote down in my little notebook, because thank God I brought my little notebook with me because I had one brain cell going. I wrote down like, here's where you got to go. So I was like, okay, like it's JFK. Then I can get a train from there to Jamaica Queens, and from Jamaica Queens I can get to New York Penn Station, and from New York Penn Station I can get on it's like the Morris and Essex line, I think. I'm sure I'm getting that wrong, but I can get on the train that gets me to Morris Plains, from which there is a Ghetto West shuttle bus, which will get me to Parsippany, New Jersey. And I was like, okay, great. So it turns out I'm not good with directions. I don't know if anyone realized that from having ever interacted with me or talked to me at any point in my life, but I'm not great at it, even with written down directions. And so I got to the Jamaica station. And fun fact, Apple had like, they're like, okay, you get on this. It's like the Babylon something train. That was the wrong train. Like the stops that it thought were part of that train were not the stops on that train. But I figured out, I was like, okay, like this is what I got to be on. And I jumped on the train that arrived at that
Platform?
the platform.
Yeah.
But I took it in the wrong direction. And like I didn't realize until it was like one of the older ones where it's not like flashing like the name of like here's the next station on the inside. So I got in, the doors closed, and it was like next stop, and I don't even remember what the next stop was, but it was not Newark Penn Station. And I was like, not Newark Penn Station or New York Penn Station. It was like both of those were the direction I wanted, and it was not that direction. So I ended up riding that station deeper into the heart of Queens. I had to get out, like, and it's an elevated station. So I had to like run out outside, like go down the stairs, go up the other stairs, jump over a bunch of guys sleeping on the stairs. I have to wait like 25 minutes while my phone is dying. I get on the train going back to the Jamaica station. I get off of that train. Again, Apple does not know what the fuck it's talking about when it says like, here's the stops on the train you do need. But I figured out, I was like, okay, these are the stops I want to hit, which was a different train. So I got onto that train, which got me to New York Penn Station. And then I got the train I bought my ticket at New York Penn Station. I had to wait there for like 35 minutes with my big fat rainbow backpack, which says mug me. So I was like, this is great. And my giant poster tube. And I was like, I'm sorry, you guys. Like, I'm real obnoxious. I'm taking up a lot of space. Like, I'm so sorry. But like New York Penn Station, I forgot that like when you go into the lower half where like the New Jersey PATH trains are, like they know what trains are coming, but they're like, I'm not going to tell you which platform they're at until they are here. And I was like, could you just like tell me where they're going to be? And they're like, fuck you, no, it's a train in New Jersey, you can wait. So it's like, there's like nowhere to stand when you're not, because like the New Jersey PATH train part, it's like really nice in New York Penn Station, like in the PATH train part, because it's like all marble, but it's very small. It's like very cramped. And so I was like, I'm sorry, it's me with my big fucking, like, I'm going to be here for 3 weeks backpack. Cause I don't know if you guys noticed, I overpack. So I'm like waiting.
You did waiting. Well this time though.
I only had to use my knee to shut the bag, like 2 times. So anyway, so I finally get on the train. And then the other thing I didn't realize was like the train from New York Penn Station all the way to Morris Plains was like 45 minutes. And like without a phone, I was like, this is what it must have been in the olden times. I was like, this is awful. And like, the other thing is like, I don't know if I'm doing this subconsciously or because you guys like mentioned that like, for some reason I've only started wearing black since I met you guys. I don't know why I'm doing that. But like now when I travel to meet you guys, I'm just like, well, I guess I'll wear all my black clothing like all at once. So like I'm in the train station, I've got my black face mask on because I always get sick at these stupid cons. So I'm like, I had the face mask on. I had my sunglasses on because like all light was bothering the fuck out of me. I'm wearing like only my black clothing. and when I'm nervous, I start like grabbing at my fingers. So I'm like sitting there on the train. I'm not looking at my phone. I'm staring straight ahead. I'm wearing black from head to toe and my hands are bleeding. So it was like a real fucking sight. I'm like
hitting the vampire vibe.
I mean, I am who I am, I guess. But like, I even had I had a book with me, but you know, when you're like, I wish I had the mental focus to read right now, but like, I'm reading the ssame paragraph over and over. Like,
yeah,
I don't have the energy. So I was just sitting there, looking like the fucking goth going home to New Jersey. It was awful. And then, so I get to the train station finally. And like, I get out and like, I thought there was going to be like, they said shuttle service and they said like, it'll be every hour and there's a phone number. So I call the phone number and I get a guy whose accent was a little bit hard for me to understand. And I think my accent was also a little hard for him to understand. So like we were doing the best we could together. And he's like, no, the guy is there. And I'm like, well, there's a parking lot that's big enough for like 6 cars at this train station. And he's not one of them. So he's like, no, the guy's coming. He's like, definitely going to be there. And I was like, okay. Guess I'm not going to get murdered. So thank God there was another guy there waiting for Chiller Con. So we stood there for like 5 minutes. And then this big windowless van comes up with Chiller Con.
Exactly what you want.
It was the vibe of the day. It was fucking
It was
awesome.
run by a
Hold
limousine
on.
company.
Did it say ChillerCon on the side?
It said, so they had taped a piece of paper to the side with Chiller Con
So convincing.
handwritten with like black magic marker. And I was like,
Yes. Free
I want to
candy.
believe.
Free candy. Free bootleg DVDs inside.
pretty much, yeah. It was the vibe of the whole convention. So like I was there with the guy, and then it was like $10 for the shuttle, and the other guy was like, yeah, I don't have cash, and the driver was like, I only take cash, and I was like, here's $20 American. Get the fuck inside the van. I'm not waiting here any longer. I think if you wait here longer, like someone will murder you. Like
I'm saving your life.
I'm saving your life. Get in the car. And he's like, are you sure? And I was like, get in the car. like, we all need to make it this weekend. Get in the car. So I had gone like full feral. Like I was foaming at the mouth. I was so done. I was so fucking done with that day. So yeah. So then we get to the hotel. I can't find you guys. And then the way that ChillerCon is set up is like all the elevators are like way in the back of the main floor, but all the ChillerCon shit's at the front. And I was like what? So like the guys, so anytime we got stopped by someone who was like, oh, do you have a wristband? Do you have like any kind of a pass for ChillerCon? I was like, I'm staying at the hotel. And we would all just flash our hotel cards, and they're like, yeah, it's fine. It's fine. Just go where you're going to go. And I was like, how the fuck did I even buy a ticket for this thing? I could have just bought the fucking
Maybe next
hotel
year.
key. Yeah, we just show up and we're like, no, we're staying here.
We just happened to
it's
book the
fine.
whole weekend this weekend. Because we're just visiting New Jersey.
Yeah. It felt very honor system because there were no badges. There was just tickets. You got one ticket. You could redeem it for any day.
The only time it really mattered is the photo op or signing rooms. I guess there was like the high profile signing room, and then there was the photo op room, and they were the ones that were always asking us for our wristbands.
They never checked my wristband. They wanted my like QR code for the picture, but they never checked my wristband or anything.
Even
or, like,
just to get in line, they wanted you to show. They wanted to see your wristband.
By the time I got in line, I looked dead in the face. I think they were like, whatever.
It's fine. Don't talk to her too. That's fine. It's fine. I think if we had gone for the bigger, like if we'd gone for Shatner or something, we'd have gotten checked.
Oh, probably, yeah.
Definitely getting into the vendor area was just walking straight in.
Yeah. They're like, well, you're here. You're probably here for this.
Yeah, because there was a line to get into the con when we got there. And I just walked up with my bag and I was like, do I need to wait in line? And they were like, nah, just go in. The check-in desk's right there. And I was like, great, thanks.
Well, then on the second day when we actually did want to check in, they were like, oh, the line's outside. And I'm like, well, we're already inside. So then we waited until the outside line was done, and then we walked outside the one door, and then we spun around and walked back inside. And they're like, oh, hello. Hello, good sir.
Yeah. Handed them our stuff, got our wristband, and we're done.
Yeah. But I was really surprised. I like for this ghetto ass hotel in Parsippany, I thought the Ruth's Chris, I'd never been to a Ruth's Chris before. It was really nice.
Ditto.
Like 85 pounds of butter will make any steak taste great, but like I think it was probably a good steak before.
Oh, it was a good it was a good celebration moment. It was a good, like, I will do this once a year. Like, I will go to this expensive place and eat this really good food.
Yeah, I like that our waiter, every time he disappeared, he came back and he smelled like cigarettes.
And he was always cussing everybody out under his breath.
Yeah, he had nothing nice to say about any other waiter. He was
or
like,
himself.
Or himself, yeah.
He was
Except
like, oh, you can
the
clean
food
that.
is going to be amazing.
Yeah.
The service,
Yeah,
and he was accurate at both counts, frankly.
Yeah. I mean, it was a better service than the day at like the next dinner.
Yeah.
And they ran
dinner.
from you. So the next day, the next day we because we are who we are. There was a Barnes and Noble within walking distance, so of course we had to go and patronize the store. So we went over there. We bought some books. We came back. We saw John for like the third or fourth time, whichever time it was. And then for dinner, we walked back across the street, and there was this restaurant called, was it like Tommy's Tavern or Tommy's Taverna or something. And it had the weirdest mix of food. It was like, you want pizza? We got it. How about sushi? We got that too. You want burgers?
Yeah.
Sure. You want Mexican food? We got that. And I was like, what the fuck what is like, but everything was really good. It was and they had Chinese food, they had dumplings, like I feel like it's the kind of place that like if everyone in your group is like, oh, I don't know what I feel like, you're like, go to Tommy's Tavern and whatever you feel like will be there on a different part of the menu.
Yeah.
Right, but anytime you made eye contact with one of the wait staff, they
Scattered.
scurried away like a cockroach when you shine a light on them.
That's because it was like a pack of Gen Z. Like it was like
Yeah.
a pack. Like I don't even know any
Yeah,
other way
they
to
traveled
describe
in
it.
groups of minimum of 3.
Yeah.
It was like you said, like they definitely had. So it was a really busy restaurant, but they had more waitresses than it seemed like was necessary. Just based on like the fact that there were like groups of 3 or 4 clustered all around the place. But the second that you like tried to find your waitress, or in fact any waitress, if you made eye contact, they all looked horrified. Like, why are you talking to me? And I was like, I think you work here. You got the little apron.
Some water?
Can we? Yeah.
I know the can you get me water waitress who like almost looked behind her like, are we talking to some? No, I'm fucking talking to you. You're standing there. I have never been in a restaurant that had so many people working there and yet had so little service.
There's so few people working, but so many people working there.
Yeah. I mean,
yeah.
Yes. There were, when I went to the bathroom, there was a group of at least 7 all gathered together, just standing there talking.
Oh yeah. Yeah. At that, was it cash area?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then the like managers were just walking around asking everybody how everything was going. Cause like, yeah, they knew like everyone's just standing around. It was so weird. I mean, the food was great. The atmosphere was
amazing.
loud, but
the service was insane.
The service was just, I don't know. And I was like, well, I'm never coming back here. So I'm sorry. I'm a terrible person. I'm not giving you a good tip.
But I mean, like, if you, like, I am guilt tripped into tipping everywhere all the time. You know this. You've had to stop me in public several times. But like, even for me, I'm like, you actively hid from us when we made eye contact with you. I don't know how else to, like, you saw us. Like, literally, there was one point where there were 3 standing by a pillar, like, right next to our table. And I looked up, I made eye contact with the central one, and all 3 of them went, and then ran. And I was like, the fuck? Is this what it's like for Dracula? Like, why are all the peasants
when we got the
from
check,
them?
she dropped off the thing with the check in it, and I was going to just put the card in it and pass it back to her, but she was gone.
What, she just whipped it at you? I must have been in the bathroom at that point.
She didn't even bring us drinks.
We had to get someone else too, yeah.
We had to get somebody out, like, to get us water.
But I will say that, like, the alcohol was poured with a very forgiving hand. Because we couldn't finish. Because we had commemorative shots, which is the thing that we do now every time we meet a Forever Night celebrity.
Yes.
Painful, burning, floor polishing shots. And then what was the other thing that you ordered? Long Island iced teas?
Long Island iced teas.
Yes, which I had never had before. And they hold up to the reputation because, oh my God, yeah, I couldn't finish mine, you couldn't finish yours, and poor Matt had to be a team player and chug the remainder for us. He was a real trooper.
I had 2 whole ones. And then I still ordered the Uber for us.
Yeah, I don't know how you were able to like even look at your screen and like touch it, because I was gone.
Honestly, I felt suspiciously okay. And I was wondering if the alcohol was watered down.
No, I think it was as soon as we got back. And what did you eat? I don't even remember what you ate. I was trying to remember. Mom asked me.
Giant calzone.
Okay, that's what it was. Because Mom asked me what everybody got, and I was like, I got a steak sandwich, and I have no memory of what anybody else got. But okay,
I ordered a pizza.
Yeah,
an entire pizza.
I think your calzone was just sitting right there.
Oh yeah, it was blocking my intestines, so the alcohol didn't make it through.
kind of percolate for a little bit. Yeah.
Well, plus I made you help me with the pizza, and then we all had pizza breakfast the next day. So
and then I spent like an hour half drunk trying to get that Blu-ray thing to play on your computer.
Yeah, all the bootleg discs.
But it had some kind of like DRM thing on it, and Mac doesn't do that, or VLC doesn't do that. I mean,
come on. Is this the kind of quality of bootleg DVDs that I can expect from ChillerCon? That's all I have to say.
Yeah.
And this was for Daughters of Dracula, which was distinct from Dracula's daughter. Yes.
Yeah, I'm trying to wait. Yeah, Dracula's Daughter is the 1936 one. So the weird Franco-Italian
Daughters of Dracula
was Daughter of Dracula. Yeah. Yeah. A totally different movie, and I was like, wow. It looks like from the homemade cover, it looked very much like it was going to be French porno from the 70s. And so I was like, yes, we got to watch this. And we couldn't get it to play. And I was like, no, where else is the perfect place to watch a French porno than in this really loud, shitty Parsippany hotel in the middle of the fucking night? Like that's what French porno was made for.
Next year, we will make sure to bring a Blu-ray player that we can hook up with an HDMI cord to the TV, and then we can buy a bunch of just very unsavory looking DVD.
Well, that was most of what they were selling. I feel like we were laughing that like when we were walking by the guy in the hallway who had like the giant DVD stand, like they all equally could have been pornos or horror movies, like based on the titles, like they were interchangeable. They were like, I think there was like, I think most of the stuff was like R was like the low end and it was like going up. Like it was just, there was a lot of.
The range of movie ratings was R, NC-17, MA,
unrated,
X.
and unrated.
Unrated.
Yeah.
We couldn't get any censor to sit through this.
No PG-13 or lower.
No, but it was like, it was funny though, because like when we were walking through, like I remember, is it Angela or Angel? The one movie that's like really famous from the 90s about the girl who's like an A+ student during the day and she's like a sassy prostitute at night. I was like, oh, I remember hearing about this movie. And like, I saw like the cover and I was like, oh, like the cover looks familiar. Like this is the one that I've heard about. And then when we were walking through, there were like 3 other movies with the exact same plot. Like, oh, I'm so smart and nerdy during the daytime. And I was like, why was this a genre of movie?
Oh, I know exactly why this was a genre.
Okay. Why was sassy teen prostitute like a whole genre that we had? Sassy, but like really good in school teen prostitute. I was like, I'm gonna pass. Thank you, sir. No, thank you. I'm gonna pass on that one. But yeah, we ended up buying, Daughter of Dracula, and then what was the one that like from when you were a kid? Was it Night something? Nightlife.
Yeah.
And I feel like maybe no, I don't. I was gonna say I think I bought another one, but that's the kung fu movie I brought with me.
Get Donuts, the
Blood and Donuts, yeah.
Blood and Donuts movie.
I still have not watched that. It's on my list. When we do our next Vampires Only podcast, I'll get to it eventually.
Yes. Yeah, we'll get through it.
For the next podcast. So
yeah. But I think in summary, like I think I liked Chiller Con better than MegaCon. I think I'd go back to Chiller Con just because I liked the smallness of it.
But at MegaCon, there was the guy with the root beer that we got jacked up on.
Yeah, there were
refills.
But so many big anime titties. Like I feel like it was more comic focused, and I'm just not a comic fan.
Yeah, but Chiller was actual pornography. Like human women taking actual dicks. Like there was actual pornography.
Yeah, there were a lot of booths selling vintage like porn magazines.
And vintage porno maquettes. Remember the one booth that we stopped at? Like
yes. And he was like, he had, what was it, Lily Munster?
Lily Munster.
And he was like, everybody does her in a dress, so I decided to do her out of the dress. I was like, well, that was very creative of you.
So there were a bunch of people who had like 3D printed stuff that they made. And so this one little booth that like somehow I missed it the first like 3 times around the floor. And then when we walked the 3rd time, I was like, oh, like, what do you got? And from like far away, it looks like they're just 3D printed models of the characters from the Munsters. And I was like, oh, that's really cute. Like the Munsters is like cute and harmless and sweet and fun. And then I get up there and he's like, yeah, we've got like the little size of Lily Munster and the big size. And he's like, showing me all the stuff. He's like, you can pick it up if you want. And I was like, I don't want to break it. I don't want to touch it. And he's like, here. And he just like hands it to me. And I'm looking at it and I was like, huh. Cause like you have to get kind of close to like see the details. Cause it's just, just a hunk of resin of plastic, whatever. And I was like, the face looks right. And he's like, look at her necklace. And then she's got a little bat necklace. And I was like, oh, that's kind of cute. And then I was looking at her and I was like, I don't remember her wearing like pants. I thought she had like a dress. And I'm looking closer and I'm like, nope, that's not pants. That's just underwear. It's just Lily Munster in her fucking bra and panties. And I was like, who the fuck is buying Lily Munster in her bra and panties? Like, what kind of a weird specific fetish is this? And like, he also had Herman Munster and Grandpa Munster.
They were fully clothed. They were in their canonical costumes. Yeah.
It was not like an equal opportunity porno version of the Munsters. It was just, It was like everyone else was wearing clothes and like Lily Munster was too slow and they just were like, nope, I guess you're wearing your underwear for this. Like, and I was like, and he was like, it's really good, right? And I was like,
Yeah, you showed me her
Yeah.
ass, and I was like, wow, okay, because it was like thong underwear.
Yeah.
And he was
I'm
like, well,
it's-
she was a model. And I'm like, no one is disputing the fact that this woman had a nice
the part
figure,
that weirds
sir.
us out. Like she was Lily Munster, was it Yvonne DiCarlo? Like she was very beautiful.
Yes.
She was super beautiful. No one is, that's not what we have a problem
But
with,
that's
sir.
not what's on the table right now. That's not what we're talking about.
And then you were like, oh, Meg, take his card. And I was like, shut the fuck up, Rachel. Fucking shut up.
Because sometimes
He's
like that, you can do the, I hold the card up and go, well, I've got your card. And then you can like leave and burn
As
it
an
or
exit
whatever you
strategy,
need. It's
yeah.
an exit
Yeah.
strategy.
It didn't work. It didn't work. He's like, oh, you guys are really interested in naked Lily Munster? And I was like, this is not that kind of throuple. I'd like to leave now, please. I feel like I liked MegaCon better only because it seemed less like I was going to get tetanus by touching stuff. Like that was, but like in terms of like stuff to buy, like Chiller had like more stuff down my alley. Like MegaCon wasn't going to have the 1936 poster for Dracula's daughter. Like no fucking way.
No.
But like, and I feel like for going to see a celebrity, like even though Kathy wasn't in like the big celebrity area, like I was happy that she got like a nice bright booth and she was like brought there by somebody else. It wasn't just like Kathy being there, like Kathy being there with her own stuff. It was like someone else brought her there.
Yeah.
Whereas for Chiller, it was like, I'm hoping that John's agent like set this shit up for him and like, you know, paid for his flight and whatever. But it sort of felt like they were like, well, if you show up, like you can have the booth for like half price and bring your own sign. And he was like, all right, I'll bring my own sign. Like it just the things that made it charming also made it like a little not disappointing. What's the word? Like, yeah, I mean, like a little disappointing. I don't know. I don't know that I would ever go back to either MegaCon or Chiller again. Like I went there for the specific purpose of meeting those guys and like I did it and I'm done. I feel like maybe that's the way to approach these cons in future is like if I go for a specific purpose, then I'm going to have a good time and it's fine. And like if I see other stuff or like other people, that's just gravy.
Then that's good. Yeah.
But like when I used to go to cons, like just because I'm like, oh, I want to go to San Diego, like I'm going to go to because it's San Diego. Then like it ends up being frustrating. Like the whole thing is just and like when they're bigger too. Like the bigger they are, the harder it is to like see the thing you want to see. So like I'm glad that like MegaCon and Chiller were small enough and like like niche enough that like we could see the people we wanted to see, and that the people we wanted to see were like niche enough that like there was like I wasn't worried. I was like a little bit worried. I was like, oh, like we want to get in line like early so like John isn't tired, but I wasn't worried that like they were gonna be like John has left and there were 300 people ahead of you in line and they all got to see him except for you. Like it was like, you're probably going to get to see John Kapelos.
Yeah.
Like, it'll probably be okay.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. I still feel kind of wishy-washy about cons in general. I feel like I've had really good experiences and really bad experiences. And, like, it's weird how very different each con has been. Like, just, like, very much its own weird flavor. Although, the overall uniting theme, of course, is that every volunteer for every Comic-Con hates you and is mad that they were born and is mad that they're there. And it's your fucking fault. So, like, at least there's like a consistency there.
Oh, no. Yeah. That felt
I would say it's an 80-20 split. There were a few staff that were genuinely nice and like consistently civil.
Was it the blonde lady whose face you could not describe to me, even though you just met her 2 minutes ago? Blonde hair, B cup. That doesn't help me, Matt. That does not help me.
I don't think she worked for the con. I think she worked for the photography company.
She did have a much different vibe.
Yeah. Not the lady who was walking up and down going, "Does everybody have your card?
Get to the side! Make some room!" Yeah.
They gave her a megaphone. They gave her like we went back by later and she had a megaphone.
A little microphone that came up and I don't know where the like speaker was attached.
They were like, wow, she's not loud enough.
But like it's the vibe of like every con. Like even when they're really big, like all the volunteers are like somehow like angry at you for existing and for not knowing what like whatever the rules are. And it's like you don't know the rules either because you're like changing your mind every 30 fucking seconds. That was I will say that was like the one thing I thought was kind of funny about this is so the different celebrities were like in different rooms. And on the little booklet they give you, they're like, this celebrity is in the gold room. This one's in the barium room, whatever. And so I was like, okay, I know John's in the gold room. But what they did was they posted pictures that said gold room next to every fucking door in the hallway. So I kept being like, no, guys, the gold room. And you're like, no, that's just a sign saying the gold room exists. And if you find the gold room, John will be in it. And I was like, what the fuck is this? Why would you post gold room down every single part of the hallway?
It was an
What madness
interesting
is this?
design, like aesthetic for the hotel, like as a convention thing, as an event space, because it had like a giant mural of Einstein in the breakfast buffet, and then all the rooms were named after elements. So they were going for this like high science vibe, but
and every room
really
had like
didn't
an
feel like it.
entranceway. Like when you went in, there was a giant dividing wall that you either had to turn right or left
Yeah.
to go around. So it immediately divided traffic no matter. And I guess it's so like you
it
could
would break
have
up line of sight between inside the room and the hallway.
Yeah, I mean, I get that, but it was just like, I don't know. It was
It's just a weird choice.
It was just an odd choice because
Well, especially if it used to be a much bigger convention. Like, how would you do a bigger? Like, this was as big as I think. This is bigger than I'm comfortable with being in this hotel. So, if this was a bigger convention in the same hotel 30 years ago, like how? Like, how did everyone not burn to death?
Right, it'd have to be way better managed. Like in those rooms, if you put in like on the wall that's just inside the door, you could have put an arrow to say, okay, traffic goes clockwise through every room.
Yeah, but what we figured out was they like stuck arrows on the walls too, but like pointing at the ceiling, pointing at the floor. It was like Alice in Wonderland had designed the hotel and then had also been in charge of this convention. And so like every single room, I was like, is this the gold room? How about this one? Is this one the gold room? And then finally we found like the actual permanent plaque and I was like, okay, this must be the gold room. And that's when all three of us like poked our heads in and saw John sitting there and went, which I think he might have heard a little bit.
Maybe.
But I as a fan very much look forward to getting to hear the special John Kapelos interview episode of Come in 81 Kilo.
Yes. I need to figure out what I'm going to ask him. I need to be prepared. So, John, do you think Skanky knew?
I mean, I know that the answer canonically is no, but like in my heart, I need it to be yes.
I need it to be yes.
So it makes it so much richer and sweeter.
Yeah. I think I've had my treatise on this in Come in 81 Kilo, but like it just makes it a better show. If you think that he knows and he's just being a bro about it, just like it's cool, man. I get it.
He's my partner. Well, that was the funny thing is when we were talking to him, I think you had, I don't know, you had said or I had said like for like what he should write. We were like, oh, go around. And he's like, what are you talking about? And I was like, you don't know go around. And then you explain it to him. You're like, it's kind of like our running joke on Coming 81 Kilo because anytime you're on screen with Ger and Ger has to vamp out, he's just like, man, go around. And you're like, all right. And you just wander off.
And he was like, oh, okay. And then he wrote, why doesn't he ever eat anything? So it wasn't even about go around. I was like, I'm not going to engage with that. It's fine. Maybe we need to just tell him to listen to our podcast as research.
I told Rachel we need to pick out a selection of episodes. Like, here's the ones you need to listen to really get the vibe and our position on Skanky.
Yeah.
Well, how are you going to pick just one episode of like drooling over Skanky? Well, it was funny when we showed up and he's like, I'm not in the third season, right? I think he saw all of us like getting ready to like be like, we have a whole thing to say. And he's like, oh yeah, we don't have to talk about it. And I was like, okay, all right. I mean, we have thoughts.
I said we're mad about it too. So we're mad about it too.
Yeah.
I am. Yeah.
Well, at least he knows. I still maintain that he was the heart of that whole show and that giving him the option of like either being the captain or not being on the show was just like it took out something that was really invaluable. That's my position on it.
There's a lot of shows now where they've figured out that the bromance makes the show. And they keep it going.
Yeah.
But maybe they hadn't figured out that was part of like a potential
No,
formula.
they're like, we have Garrett Wynn Davies. He's here to fuck. He's not here to talk to John Kapelos.
They were trying to drop the age of the show. They were trying to appeal to a younger audience because they were like, look, Lisa Ryder and her 90s mom.
Yeah, but like John and Ger and Deb and everyone, like they're only like in their like early to mid 30s.
I know.
That's not that old. It's not that old.
I know. We could have just modeled. We just could have made them teenagers. It's not like that's not been done. Like, look at Greece. Those people are all 45, and we're all supposed to believe they're teenagers. Yeah.
Okay. Are you a teacher here? Yeah. So I don't know. I look forward to listening to that. I think that was very kind of him to like immediately be like, have I been on your podcast? No, I will be. I'll do it.
I know. That was so. I was like, oh my God. Yeah. Like, I don't know. I haven't worked my way up to asking people to be on the podcast yet. So it was really nice to be like, oh, okay. Like, there's a slam dunk. Like, because if I can get one,
No, he
it'll be
told
easier to
you.
get the rest. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
he wasn't like, do you want me? He's like, I'll just do it. Okay.
I know. That's why I was
All right.
like, thank you for taking that choice away from me, because I was having a hard time making it. I appreciate it.
You know what? We got through this without passing out. We didn't go into the white room. Matt didn't have to physically push us anywhere or pull us out of anywhere. So I feel like.
Yeah, success.
We're getting better. Yeah, we're getting so much better. Yeah, that was great. I loved doing that. I liked meeting him so much. If he's anywhere near any of you, go forth. Tell John we said hi. Yeah. Kathy's also in a con season. She's going to be in Buffalo in June. So if anybody wants to go see her, do go buy tickets.
And again, remind them that we all say hi and that we're cool and normal and that she's got a standing lunch date with
Rachel
us.
and Meg sent me because they said you were really cool, and I think you're really cool too. Like that's your script right there. You can just say it like that. It's fine.
Yeah.
You just play it.
Yeah, with the heavy breathing and the unbroken eye contact. Yeah.
Yes. No, those are all requirements. We have forged the way, y'all. We know the path. You just have to walk the path.
It's probably good that I don't think that John and Ger and Kathy are on a text chain, because they're just gonna be like, did you also meet the weirdos? Yeah,
they
we had the
weren't.
weirdos
The Forever
too.
Night group
They
chat.
weren't.
Have you guys had these people visit you yet?
Oh my God, you too? Jesus
Then they
Christ.
throw Nigel in there, and he's like, "What? What?" He responds 2 weeks later, and he's like, "What were we talking about?"
I need to ask him.
Yes, we have a couple more things. We have to find the caddy, get Nancy, and we have to talk to Nigel.
Oh, don't present me with a challenge. Don't, because I will rise to that challenge.
I feel like it's good to have a challenge. It's good to have a goal.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
Well, we'll work on that. We'll update the podcast listeners.
Sounds good. I'll cross post this to Come in 81 Kilo, and we'll get 5 whole more extra listeners.
Nice. Well, on that note, friends, as is the way that we traditionally end every episode of Ger Can Get It, don't fucking tell him. Don't tell anybody that don't do it. Don't tell him.
Don't.
He doesn't need to know.
Don't.
Be cool. Don't be a narc. Don't narc us out. Okay. This is all under the table.
Do go see John.
But do absolutely go see John. Go see Kathy. Go see Ger this summer in London Assurance in Stratford, Ontario. Go see them. Go enjoy them. You don't fucking know us, okay?
Until next time, friends.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.